Chapter 7. Flamingo Joe. Once Flamingo Joe found Katy and told her she could go home, Joe flew back to his flock. He wanted to grab a snack before exploring the islands, past Dart Island. Joe landed in shallow water, stirred up the mud with his feet, and dipped his beak in. He was hoping to find some small insects or perhaps some shrimp to slurp. When Joe pulled his head out of the mud, he was startled to see a big pink flamingo staring back at him in the water. "Oh my! You scared me. What are you doing in there?" Joe flapped his wings frantically and stood up. He looked to his right. He looked to his left. Try as he may, he could no longer see the other flamingo. "Hey, Joe, what's up?" Joe's friend Poppy waded up to him. "Did you see a pink flamingo who was just here? How did he fly away without me noticing?" Joe asked, bewildered. Joe, there are a lot of pink flamingos flying around," Poppy laughed. "He was funny looking and had a muddy beak," Joe continued. "Still sounds like most of the birds out here." Poppy stuck her beak in the mud. Joe looked around one more time and stuck his beak back in the mud to swallow more goodies. While he was feasting, Joe couldn't help but think about the pink flamingo. It had been fluttering around Joe a lot lately. He couldn't figure out what this flamingo wanted from him. The mysterious flamingo would play peekaboo from the water, then disappear. He knew the flamingo was older than he was because older flamingos were pink, not gray like he was. "Did you find anything exciting in there?" Poppy interrupted Joe's thoughts. "Nope. Same old thing as yesterday. I haven't had a single shrimp in days. I guess I'll just have to make do with what I got." "What are you up to today? I was thinking we could practice our landings," Poppy offered. "I'm actually going on a little flying trip today. I'm doing a favor for some four-legged friends." "I didn't know you had land animal friends." Poppy was surprised Joe knew anybody outside of their colony. He wasn't very adventurous, and he definitely wasn't the type to go out of his way to meet new creatures. "Yeah, a little while ago I met a funny little hamster and a capybara," Joe said casually. Since Poppy didn't know what a hamster or a capybara were, Joe had to explain a few things. Joe told Poppy about the time he met Hoagie and Katy and how he helped them find Katy's parents. "When flying, I see those big creatures playing along the shores of the lake. I've always wondered what kind of animals they were. It's weird that they like swimming so much because they don't have beaks like water birds or fins and flippers like the other aquatic creatures," Poppy said. "Yeah, they are great swimmers, that's for sure. It's a perfect way for them to cool off and get away from the animals who hunt them. They are a little clumsy on land, though," Joe replied. Once Poppy understood hamsters were small furry rodents, she felt comfortable asking, "Do you think I could come along on your trip? I'm getting so bored hanging out at the same mud flat and eating the same old stuff. Plus, we can get a lot of practice on our landings." "Sure, I guess so." Joe thought it would be helpful to have another pair of eyes scanning for Hoagie and Katy's new island. After preening a bit and getting the mud off their faces and beaks, Joe and Poppy began running and flapping their wings. Soon they soared up into the sky. When the two flamingos got close to Dart Island, Joe rose even higher than before. "Where you going, Joe? Is there a floating island I don't know about?" asked Poppy. "I gotta get above these clouds to feel safe. Some say freaky poisonous frogs live on Dart Island, and I want to get as far away from them as I can. Sometimes I have nightmares about that place." Joe shivered. Once the two flamingos leveled out, they got into a flying groove. Their wings beat in time with each other, and Poppy chatted away as Joe listened. "Don't hawks make you jealous?" Poppy asked. "Why would I get jealous about another bird?" Joe answered. "Well, because they can fly so fast and dive so low." "Duh," said Poppy. "True, but they can't fly that fast when they're flying for a long time. We might not have their speed, but they can't match our endurance," Joe announced proudly. "I know, but I would love to see what it feels like to be a hawk, just once in my life." And much to Joe's surprise, Poppy folded up her wings a little and tried to do a slow dive. Before she lost control, she opened her wings and soared up again. "What in the world are you doing? Do you want to get hurt?" Joe shouted. "Whew! That was exciting. Want to try, Joe? Poppy panted. No way. Never. Not as long as I live. Joe shook his head violently. You can't always play it safe in life, Joe. Sometimes you got to try things that feel uncomfortable at first. One day you'll find you are better at it if you keep trying. Who knows? Maybe you might like it, coaxed Poppy as she tried another small dive. All the while she was calling out to Joe to come and join her. Look at me! I'm the first ever flamingo hawk, Poppy hooted. Woo-hoo-hoo! It looked like Poppy was having fun, and it didn't seem to be too dangerous since they were so far above land. Could Joe do something he had never done before and actually like it? Joe took a deep breath, tried to relax, and brought in his wings a bit. His body felt like he was dropping too fast, and he got scared. He quickly snapped his wings back open, and whoosh! His body was flung up in the air, and he twirled around like a paper aeroplane. Hey, I haven't tried that move yet, Poppy yelled. I didn't do it on purpose, Joe panted as he finally got in a normal flying position. Eventually, the flamingos tried different ways of diving, making sure they were safe. They laughed as they glided, turned, flipped up and down and sideways. Even though Joe's tummy was feeling a little strange with all the flipping, he found he was really enjoying himself. When a new island finally emerged, Joe was kind of disappointed because he was having the best time flying with his friend Poppy. He motioned to Poppy that it was time to go in for a landing. Now, landing is a learned skill, and Joe was proud of all the practicing he had done over the summer. He was pleased when his landing was graceful, which is a little difficult for a flamingo to do. Joe rewarded himself by testing the new soil for unusual foodstuff in the marshy new mud. Poppy, on the other hand, tripped and flopped awkwardly into the muck. Embarrassed, she grumbled as she shook mud particles from her wings. Joe didn't notice Poppy's unfortunate landing because he realized the pesky, mysterious pink flamingo had followed him to the new island, and it was staring at him from the water. Chapter 8. Possibilities. After Poppy had wiggled the muck off herself, she asked, What are we supposed to be looking for over here, Joe? Joe coughed up some algae before answering. We're supposed to see if this place is worth a trip for my friends Hoagie and Katie. We are also supposed to ask ourselves important questions like, how far is this island from their home? Is there shade and places to hide for tiny little Hoagie? We should probably see what kind of animal eaters there are too, don't you think? Poppy added. Exactamundo, Poppy. I knew it was a good idea to bring you along. The flamingos wandered along the sandy beach and hopped up on the rocks. Once they made it to the flat, grassy part of the island, they were met with bushy trees and flowering plants. There were many types of crawling and flying insects, especially the fuzzy yellow and black ones that poked their heads in and out of flowers. The flamingos thought these bugs looked funny with their roly-poly tushies sticking out of the buds. Poppy heard a lot of buzzing, but when she turned around, she saw it wasn't an insect, but a tiny, brightly colored bird. Oh my gosh! Look at this lovely little bird, she exclaimed. Poppy and Joe stood very still as a beautiful hummingbird flitted around them with its long beak stuck deep inside a trumpet vine. The hummingbird's throat was cherry red, and its little body was a beautiful mix of deep blues and greens. The hummer's little wings were beating so quickly, tiny gusts of wind could be heard. I think we should fly now, Poppy. Joe was getting a little nervous. While he was enchanted with the bright hummingbird, he was concerned there might be other things on the island that were beautiful, but possibly deadly, like poison dart frogs. Poppy was already following the hummingbird, who was flying so fast she could barely see it. She made a running start and took flight after the petite bird. Joe hurried after her. Poppy lost sight of the hummer, but found herself looking down at a large box with little square cutouts like eyes. It was painted turquoise blue and had a bright yellow door. She wanted to get a better look, so she and Joe decided to land. This must be a human place, Joe mused. Yeah, I don't think they like sleeping outside too much for some reason, Poppy agreed. Poppy had seen a few humans when she would go flying on her own. They would be sitting or standing in long wooden things on the lakes. chucking nets in the water. Usually they would wave at her and smile. Humans seemed to like flamingos, so Poppy liked humans. The friends strolled on, talking about past human encounters and crash landings. Suddenly they both stopped and stared. They had found themselves in the middle of a colorful mango grove. As they looked around, they noticed they were inside a fenced area. Wow! Look at the heavy flowers hanging off of those trees! Poppy was in awe of the beautiful oranges, greens, and slight reds of the mango fruit. Those aren't flowers. They are called fruit. Fruit is a juicy, messy, sweet food. Animals who have pointy teeth or sharp beaks can get through the fruit's skin. I bet Hoagie and Katie would like this. Flamingos couldn't eat fruit because their beaks were used for scooping, not breaking up or stabbing food. Joe knew Hoagie and Katie had big chompers, and they would be able to rip into the fruit's skin and gobble down the inside sticky stuff. Without warning, the flamingos felt a rush sweep by them, followed by frantic barking. They ran quickly and flew in the air. "Dipper! Quiet! Leave it!" yelled a tall man dressed in dirty jeans and muddy rubber boots. Dipper loved barking and chasing things, and he didn't really know why. "Dip, Dip! Come, boy!" his master called out again, more sternly. "Okay, I'm coming, master. Sorry, I just can't help it sometimes," Dipper said aloud to himself. "What in the heck was that? I've never heard a sound like that before, and geez, just look at it." Poppy pointed her wing at Dipper. The dog looked like a scary, hairy beast. "I guess this place is out." Joe was disappointed. He thought for sure they had found the perfect spot for his friend's adventure, but now this noisy animal ruined everything. Joe thought this monster must be a predator, the way he was running after them. It might even be more dangerous than poisoned dart frogs, if that was even possible. "I don't know, Joe. I think we should give up. Shouldn't give up on this place yet. With so many fruit trees, water, sun, shade, and grass, I think they would love it here for a nice vacation," said Poppy. "But the loud, scary creature, if we couldn't fly, it would have eaten us for sure." Joe knew he was going to have another bad dream that night. "Nah, Joe, true predators sneak up on their prey. Hoagie and Katie would hear this guy coming from a mile away. I think he's a guard and is sounding the alarm for intruders." "Oh, great. So everyone knows we're here now? They're going to be on alert for any strange comings and goings. I don't like this, Poppy. I don't like this one bit." Joe was feeling they might have made a mistake coming here. Even though Joe felt a strong urge to keep Hoagie and Katie safe, he had to admit Poppy had a good point. This place was pretty amazing, and there were fresh, yummy tidbits for the flamingos, too, which was a bonus. True, the furry creature was loud, active, and a bit frightening, but it also looked like it smelled awful. Lucky for Hoagie and Katie, their sense of smell was excellent. Joe felt that he had seen enough of this island. He would suggest it to his rodent friends with the warning for them to stay out of the fenced area. They wouldn't be able to eat the mangoes, but Joe was sure they would find other exciting things to eat. Joe and Poppy started flapping their way back to the capybara camp. Joe was eager to tell his friends about the most perfect spot he found. His excitement turned to confusion, however, because as the birds glided closer to the water to get ready for their landing, he saw the bothersome pink flamingo flying below him. As he turned to tell Poppy about the strange bird, she was busy making her first ever graceful landing on the safe shore.